Welcome back to GBGuns Armory, the series where we're going over stuff previously reviewed. It's been out for a while, so this is your chance to give your commentary on what you've heard, seen, experienced, or thought about the thing. And it's my chance to give you a little more thoughts and feels, since the main channel reviews are all facts and performance. Today we're looking at the Grand Power K22S. And I don't do a lot of 22 content, but this one is just plain fun. And yes, I am a Grand Power fan, I openly admit that, but for valid reasons. Consider the 400 plus handguns that I've reviewed. So when I like something, that should mean something to you. What is neat about this thing, and part of its reliability, is that open slide design. Looks kind of bred in 92S-ish, but as a result, it's pretty much impossible for this thing to have an issue, unless you have a magazine issue, and the magazines are pretty simple and have the same little thumb guides on them like most 22 mags do. What I appreciate about this, and ambi controls, as all Grand Power pistols have, magazine release and your safety, is it's full-sized, like it's the same size grip as a K100, as a 15 round 9mm gun. The weight is a little bit lighter, of course, but pretty similar, but it handles generally like a regular 9mm gun. A lot of 22s are either shrunken down to be something for training youth, which is good, that has a purpose as well, or they're done up so competition-like or alternate universe looking weird space ray gun things that while shooting them can be enjoyable, it doesn't really help you learn or practice for the real thing. Because the frame is similar, or almost probably exactly the same thing as what's on a K100, it fits the same holsters, minus this having a threaded barrel, so you want to watch the end of your holster there. But it lets you use 22 for training. The sights are the same, the trigger is that same superb trigger that Grand Powers have. Everything is going to feel the same aside from recoil and, of course, ammo cost. It's a true affordable trainer. There are many different trim levels of Grand Power's 22s. One of them that I think should have been in the US a long time ago includes the feature that's been seen in our video on the Mark 23s, and that is having an optics plate on top of the barrel here fixed. So you've got a non-reciprocating optic that sits right there, free of getting brass kicked in its face and all that, so you don't have any reliability issues with brass bouncing off the optic and back into the port. Grand Power's had that for several years. It's been on the Canadian market, it's been on the international market. It wasn't on the US market, and in the meantime Taurus cloned it and had great success and got famous for having their dot there. So bummer to Grand Power. The US importers were sleeping on that one. Or maybe it's because at the time dots weren't cool yet in the US, whereas now they're required. But this guy, I won't dry fire it, but you can see it looks just like your standard regular size Grand Power. You do get the total of 4 backstraps to change the size of the grip, but the trigger, like I said, is exactly the same, all the controls being ambidextrous, and this lightweight, I believe it's made out of aluminum slide, to not only make it so it can cycle just about anything, but with that open top and everything dribbling out, regardless of how weak it is, it's a really stinking reliable 22, which for a long time was something that was hard to find. They're getting better now, so this is no longer as cutting edge, if you will. It's just underappreciated from the beginning. But whenever we go out with 22s and somebody wants to shoot 22 handguns, of course I bring a variety. This always comes along as a backup just in case. A note on it versus the X trim model, which is pretty sexy, and I'll have it in another video in the future. The X trim model, because it has a full shaped slide, there's a little more reciprocating mass, and I found it to be, it actually has ammo preferences, whereas this open top style just runs whatever. If you're curious about pricing and availability of these things, I will pin my Grand Power guide in the comments below, and that's got links on it. The prices on there are as of the date I wrote that, which is a while ago, but you can click and it'll, if that vendor still has it, you'll see today's prices by clicking on it. That's the way I set those up. But spectacular gun, loads of fun. 22 has practicality as a survivalist gun. It has practicality as a zombie apocalypse gun, because right, their skulls get magically soft and all you have to do is pop them. But the main thing that I think is valuable for training, especially newer shooters, takes away a lot of the fear that comes with recoil. It lets people focus on sights and trigger control. It lets them focus on grip, and there's enough noise for the noise thing to be something they get a little accustomed to, so that when the big booms happen later on, it's not as jarring. So I highly recommend 22 as a trainer, so long as it's reliable enough to have fun. That's where the K22S comes in. There are other 22 pistols that are great, but can jam to the point that unless you have good knowledge, it can be really frustrating. And that's a terrible thing to deter someone who's looking to learn how to work with firearms. An occasional malfunction can be a learning point, but keep in mind, when you put a gun in the hands of a new shooter, chances are they're going to limp wrist a little bit. So it's once again where this open slide top design is just brilliant. You can work on the wrist thing later on. Let's get them comfortable and confident with a gun first, and then fine-tune things when we move up to an actual defensive caliber. It's Grand Power K22S for GBGuns Armory. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.